Okay, so for today's lesson, we're going to be going over how we can use our knowledge of fractions to determine the value of ratios. So we know that ratios and fractions are very related. So today we're going to be talking about how we can use that to find out what the value of a ratio is. So for our first problem, we have two films. The duration of two films are modeled below. Basically, how long two different movies are modeled below. So our first film is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to be 5. And our second film is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. So it's 5 to 7. All right. So now the length of film A. Now the numerator is going to come first, but the important thing is we need here film A, then film B. In the same way, we need film A, then film B. Just to make sure that's clear, I'll use the correct color. So film B is this color, film B is this color. It's in the same order, so then this is going to go on the top. So our 5 will go on the top, and then our 7 is going to go along the bottom. The reason our 7 goes on the bottom is because out of 7, so the length of film A is 5 out of 7 of the length of film B, or 5/7. And one way we can check this is we can go back and look at our questions and see, well, 5/7, that's a fraction that's less than 1, which means that film A should be shorter than film B, which if we look up here, we notice is true. Right here, this is how much longer film B is than film A. Now, the second question is a flip. It asks, what's the length of film B in comparison to the length of film A? So now, in the same way, we need to flip our ratio. So instead, our ratio would now be 7 to 5. So if it's 7 to 5, this number is going to go on top. Here's our 7. And then we have our 5 is going to go along the bottom. So we have 5 to 7. All right, now moving on to the next problem. We have Saul and Keon went fishing using live shrimp as bait. Now, Saul brought 8 more shrimp than Keon brought. When they combined their shrimp, they had 32 shrimp altogether. So first off, we need to find out how much Saul and Keon brought for shrimp, because it asks what is the ratio of the number of shrimp Saul brought to the number of shrimp Keon brought. Well, the first thing we need to figure out is how much each person brought. If we know that Saul brought 8 more shrimp, let's guess. So if we had 32 and we split it in half, here's Saul, here's Keon. I'm going to make my marker a little smaller. So Saul brings, let's say, 16, and Keon brings 16. That would be a difference of 0. They both add up to 32, though. Okay, now we can say, all right, well, it's not that. What if we gave Saul 18? And then Keon would then take 2 less. So we would go Keon to 14. So if I went up 2 and went down 2, now we have a difference of 4. Well, that's still not enough. I need a difference of 8. So I can go up 2 more, and I see that, and then down 2 more would be 14 and 12. Okay, and that's a difference of 8. So this one actually works. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to see that Saul brought 12. Sorry, Saul brought 18, and Keon brought 12. Oh, sorry, that's not accurate. So actually brought 20. So 20 to 12 would be our ratio. So what is the ratio of the number of shrimp Keon brought? Well, it's 20 to 12. Express the number of shrimp Saul brought as a fraction of the number of shrimp Keon brought. So again, this one asks for Saul, then Keon. So since the order stays the same, we could take 20 over 12. So Saul brought 20/12 of the amount of shrimp that Keon brought. Important thing, we do want to make sure we are simplifying our fraction to find our true value. So we know we can simplify this. I'm going to simplify this fraction by doing it in a double. Now I know since they're both even, I can do just divide by 2. And I know 20 divided by 2 is going to equal 10, and 12 divided by 2 is going to equal 6. Oh man, they're still even. There was a shorter way I could have done this, but we'll go this way. So divide these again by another giant 1. And since they're both even, I'll do divide by 2. I know this is 5, and this is 3. Okay. Another way you could have done this was by making your list of the least common multiples and using those instead. But for now, we're going to use these two. Okay, so here we are. 5 to 3 is our fraction. So this would be our final fraction that we would want to use. The reason we want to use this one instead is because this one is the smallest. Now, is it true that this is also the fraction and this is also the fraction? Yes. But we want to use, again, the most simplified version. So we're going to stick with 5/3. Okay. One more example would be, what's the ratio of the number of shrimp Saul brought to the number of shrimp total? So this is now asking for the number of shrimp total. So if we know Saul brought 20 shrimp, this is how much Saul brought, and we know that the total shrimp was going to be 32 because they had 32 shrimp altogether. So then we know that ratio is going to be 20 to 32. Now, the second question asks, what fraction of the total shrimp did Saul bring? So what fraction of the total shrimp did Saul bring? So we want it to be, he brought 20 out of 32 total shrimp. So that would be his fraction. Now, in this one, I'm going to use the better strategy where we pick the greatest common factor. And so I'm going to write my two numbers. We have 20 and 32. Now I know 20 can be multiplied 1 times 10, 2 times, 1 times 20, 2 times 10, and 4 times 5. Okay, 32 could be 1 times 32, 2 times 10, or, oh man, I'm so sorry. Let's erase this. You can't see any of this anyways. Here, let's just use the pen I have here. Okay, so we have 20 and 32. Now, 20 could go from 1 times 20, 2 times 10, or 4 times 5. 32 can come from 1 times 32, 2 times 16, 4 times 8. So those are our 4 options. Now, I notice here that I have the two numbers that I have in common. Can I change the color of my paintbrush? I can. All right. I have 4 in common, I have 2 in common, and 1. I want to use the greatest common factor, or the GCF. Greatest common factor. So in here, the greatest common factor is going to be that 4. So I'm going to divide it by a giant 1 with that 4 in it. And that'll give me 20 divided by 4 is 5, and 32 divided by 4 is 8. So Saul brought 5/8 of the total shrimp. Okay, you guys, well, that's our lesson for today. We're talking about fractions and how they can relate. Good luck, and I'll see you tomorrow.